You've probably heard the terms computer security, network security, and cybersecurity thrown around, right? And you might have wondered, wait, aren't they all just the same thing? It's a super common question, but if you stick with me, we're going to build a really simple, powerful way to think about it that'll clear it all up for good.
So let's get right to it. What is the difference? Are these just fancy buzzwords that mean the same thing? Well, it turns out not at all. They're definitely related, for sure, but they each represent a totally distinct and absolutely crucial layer of protection. And the way they all fit together is actually a lot simpler than you might think.
And here's the key takeaway right up front. You shouldn't think of them as separate ideas. The best way, the easiest way to understand them is as concentric circles. You know, like a bullseye. They're layers of defense, with each one building on the one inside it to create one solid, secure whole.
Okay, to really get this, we're going to visualize these layers. I want you to imagine we're building a fortress, but we're doing it from the inside out. So first, we secure the treasure, right? Then we build the walls and the moats around it, and finally, we need a general, someone who's looking at the big picture, overseeing the entire kingdom's defense strategy.
And boom! Here's that model. See that little circle right in the middle? That's computer security. That's the lock on the individual machine. The next layer wrapping around it? That's network security, which protects all the pathways between those machines. And that final, huge layer that covers everything? Well, that's cybersecurity, the master strategy that pulls it all together.
This quote just nails the analogy we're using today. We're building a digital fortress. So we're going to start by securing the vaults, then we're going to guard the hallways, and finally, we'll take a look at the general's master plan for the entire castle.
All right, let's dive in. We're starting at the very core of our fortress, the individual computer. This is all about protecting the machine itself, the actual place where our most valuable data is stored. Think of these as the treasure vaults of our castle.
So officially, this is what we call computer security. Its focus is totally internal. It's all about protecting data that is at rest, just sitting there on a single machine, like your laptop or a server. It's about making sure that system hasn't been compromised from the inside out. So what exactly are we protecting inside this vault? Well, pretty much everything on the machine itself. We're talking about securing the operating system, hardening software against nasty attacks like buffer overflows. That's where an attacker basically tricks a program into messing with its own memory. Plus, we're locking down databases, fighting off malware, and even physical security. I mean, you can't have digital security if someone can just walk in and walk out with the server, right?
Okay, so our vaults are secure. That's great. But they don't just sit there in a vacuum. They need to talk to each other. And that brings us to our second layer of defense, protecting the pathways between our machines. These are the hallways, the tunnels, and the drawbridges of our digital castle.
Now this is probably the clearest way to see the difference. While computer security is all about protecting data at rest, network security is all about protecting data in motion. It's basically the difference between guarding a treasure chest that's locked in a vault versus guarding the armored car that's driving it across town.
And that is the absolute heart of network security. Its focus is on transit. It's the whole collection of rules and setups that are designed to protect the integrity and privacy of all that data flying around a network.
So, how do we patrol these digital hallways? We set up digital gatekeepers, which we call firewalls. We wrap our data up in secret, encrypted tunnels using powerful tech like TLS. That's the same thing that puts the little S in the lock icon in HTTPS. And we use network access control to basically check IDs at the door, deciding who even gets to walk into the hallways in the first place. Okay, so we've locked down our vaults, we've got guards in the hallways, but who's in charge of all this? Who's making the rules, managing the guards, and deciding how to respond to threats? Well, that brings us to our final, all-encompassing layer, the general's strategic plan. And this is cybersecurity. See, it's not just one piece of tech. It's the integrated framework. It takes all the technology from our first two layers, sure, but then it adds the critical stuff, the processes, the policies, and the people, to create a complete, holistic defense. And the scope here is just massive. I mean, look at this. It's not just about the tech. It covers the architecture. That's the blueprint for the entire fortress. It covers the day-to-day operations, like responding when an alarm goes off. And it covers management and oversight. This is like the laws of the kingdom, things like risk and compliance and legal issues. It's truly the whole shebang.
So, let's pull all of this together. Why does thinking in these layers matter so much? Because at the end of the day, a single wall is never, ever enough to protect a castle. You absolutely need multiple, overlapping lines of defense.
This idea has a name, and it's a core principle in security called defense in depth. The whole idea is pretty simple. If one of your security controls fails, let's say an attacker somehow gets past your firewall, there are still other layers, like the security on the computer itself, ready to stop them. No single point of failure should ever bring the whole fortress down.
So we've gone and built this incredible technical fortress, right? We've got computer security, network security, and this huge cybersecurity framework watching over it all. But after all that work, what do you think is the single biggest vulnerability? Where's the weakest link in the chain?
Well, the source material is really clear on this one. After all the firewalls are up, all the data is encrypted, and all the policies are written, the weakest link is almost always the human element. Threats like social engineering and phishing don't try to break down the walls. They just trick someone on the inside into opening the front gate for them. And that is a powerful reminder that technology alone will never be the whole story of a true digital fortress.